just off 54. It's not very far from here. And these girls live there anywhere from like 6 months to a year, where they get, these are residential treatment programs. So they get a lot of therapy and counseling, and they come from really difficult situations, home situations. So, and they've gotten into a little bit of legal trouble. It's nothing major, but they've become part of the juvenile justice system in Florida. And a judge has determined, due to their situation at home, that he's going to remove them from there and place them in a residential treatment program so they can get therapy. And most frequently they've been really far behind in their education. So it's just trying to get them on track and rehabilitated before they go back home.
So the majority of the girls, or is it all of the girls that will go into that particular residential program, will they come to you directly from one of the juvenile detention centers, or will they also come from other locations?
They are from the state of Florida. We actually work, our ministry is called Steadfast Mentoring. And the Princess Project is specifically the girls programming.
Okay.
So there are 55 of these programs across the state of Florida. And 8 of them are girls, so you can do the math there and see how many are boys. And we want to focus on the girls because all of these children come from extraordinarily difficult backgrounds. A lot of abuse, abandonment, victimization. But the girls, the rate of their victimization is extremely high because of human trafficking, because they've all been exposed to that, and they've just suffered greatly from their home situations. So we just have this great opportunity to go in and show them the love and hope of Christ. That's really what Steadfast is about, and the Princess Project in particular is about the girls.
What's the age range of the girls?
They're from anywhere from 11 to 18.
11 to 18.
And because of the amount of trauma that they've experienced, they're more like half their chronological age, just because of their backgrounds, the trauma histories they have.
As far as educational development and social development, that's what you mean?
Right. They operate at about a 4th grade educational level typically. If you don't have anyone saying, time to go to school, or you don't have breakfast, or you don't have the support system at home, then there's a good chance that you are very far behind, or just haven't been going for years. That's what we find a lot of times.
So the mentoring is the primary focus then?
Yes.
What does it look like? How does it operate?
We do Bible studies and worship services and everything there. These programs, either the community, the churches around these programs where they're physically located, go in with the love of Christ, or they don't get really any spiritual support whatsoever. They don't have anyone on staff or anything. But what we do with our mentoring program is we match, in this case with Central Pasco Girls Academy, we match a woman with one of the girls, and she can go and visit them and write to them, and just be someone that they can talk to, because they have no visitors. And so there's 32 girls there, and all of them basically want a visitor, want a mentor. We call them mentors, and I'm a little reluctant to use that word because it kind of scares people sometimes, because you think you've got responsibility to turn their lives around. But really, our responsibility is to show them the love and hope of Christ. And so that's really our main focus, our unique focus.
Well, 2 practical questions related to it. So, number 1, what is the age restriction for a person to be a leader, a mentor in your program?
They have to be at least 21 and no older than 79.
Okay. And I know you've been speaking at length to Maria Rivera, and you've also visited the ladies group here at one time, as I understand it, right?
I did, yes.
Okay, awesome. So they're already a little bit aware of what you're doing.
Yes. And it's just a great program. Of course, I'm biased, but it's a lot of fun. The girls are very sweet, very wanting to, they all know that these are Christian mentors, and all wanting us there. I mean, a 14-year-old girl wants to have a person my age to go and talk to them and just spend time with them, do arts and crafts, play games, it's relational. It's really what it is. It's relational evangelism and discipleship.
then my second practical question on that is, what would a mentor, in terms of their time commitment, typically be? I don't know if there's a typical or...
Yes.
Okay.
We ask for at least 2 face-to-face visits a month, which would be an hour each visit, so really it's 2 hours. And then the weeks that you can't make it, we ask just to send a card or a note in the mail. So it's really just 2 hours a month, more if you include your travel time. We think that's important to develop the relationship, at least that amount.
And you said it in a general way, but if there is a specific answer to this, what is the primary objective that you're aiming at when you come in to work with a girl? What are you aiming at first and foremost?
Well, mainly we want them to see Jesus in us, and we want them to know that there's a different way, that there's light available to them. There's a light available to them, because they've only known darkness in their lives. So if that's all you've ever known, then that's hard not to respond to darkness, if that's all you've ever been exposed to. So we want to let them know that there's another way, that they're loved. And the Princess Project, the name of that is basically our byline, is because every girl deserves to know she is a daughter of the King. Because they are self-esteem, they experience a lot of shame, they feel worthless, just because of the amount of abuse and abandonment and victimization they've experienced in their lives. So we just want them to know that they're valuable and they're loved.
Is there anybody that might have an additional question? There's more things I can think of, but I just want to give you one moment. Yes, ma'am. It's Cookie.
Yes, Pasco County school system does school there, so they're in school there during the day. It's on Wilson Road, 2953 Wilson Road, Land O'Lakes.
So not very far from Calvary Chapel.
Right.
Yes, Miss Laura.
I need to find out, do you do any interaction with their families while they're in rehab and everything?
We do not.
How are they prepared to go home then if they are going back to where they came from?
Luckily, that's not our responsibility, but just so you're aware, they do get a lot of therapy and counseling, and they do try to involve them in that. But we tell as we're part of the training, we say, the good news is that we're not called to be a therapist, a counselor, a teacher, or even a preacher. We're called to go in and just build a relationship with them and help them understand their value through that relationship.
So
we often tell.
Then that has nothing to do with going back to their families after they've done their therapy and everything.
No, we ask our mentors to stay in touch with their mentees, because like in Central Pasco, you may have some from Pasco, but the majority of them are going to be from everywhere else in the state. Okay. So you're probably not going to be able to visit them when they leave. You could potentially, but mainly it's through text and phone calls. Just let them know there's someone, they're praying for them. So you really will not have contact with their family.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Beck.
So basically, are they under foster care?
Many of them are. Many of them are. Right. Mm-hmm.
Excellent questions. And Ms. Cheryl is going to be available when you go out into the fellowship area. On the opposite side of the glass where you see Vaughn stand in the back, there's a table there that is set up to where there's materials and other things. But I really want to highly encourage you sisters in the church to consider seriously this opportunity, ministry opportunity. When I listened to Cheryl describe a little bit here prior to the service, it sounds so similar to the chaplain corps that we started in East Pasco. Mm-hmm. And I don't doubt at all we'll find ways to network going forward, which I look forward to.
That's awesome.
And we know a couple of common friends and things like that in the work that we are doing. And but I can tell you, from experience too, that there is an amazing joy in being able to connect to a young person in an environment like this where they are so in need of love and interest, and it's a ministry opportunity that you can't hardly even put into terms. So look at it real seriously, sisters. If you're looking for something, a way to invest in the life of another person, just imagine, I want to just give you a quick reflection for everybody. What would have happened, and this is an extreme example to be sure, But what would have happened if David Wilkerson did not invest in Nicky Cruz? I mean, you know, he invested in him. He poured himself into him. And what a mighty man of God Nicky Cruz became. Those of you remember the cross and the switchblade, you know. And we learned at Harvest America last weekend how that there is this revitalized interest in the Jesus People movement, the Jesus Revolution, which is so cool. And they're actually looking at bringing a lot of this information about things that God did during that era out to the young people today by bringing modern and update these movies. Like, you know, the old Cross and the Switchblade movie was made so long ago that a teenager today might consider a little lame, but they'll bring it up to speed and they'll bring it up to date and make it more. But the point is that, remember, God did a great work a couple generations ago, starting just with youth. And I really believe that's something that is on the radar of God radically now. And this is another opportunity here through Project Princess for strong Christian, in this case sisters, to invest in someone else. And actually we'll be talking a lot about that during the message today, so the timing of your visit is ridiculously great.
Thank you, that's awesome.
Sure, it's
Thank
such
you
a
so
joy to
much.
have met
Thank
you.
very
God
much.
bless you. Let's give a round of applause. A great work that's going on in the name of Jesus. Thank you. Could we stand together?